Alright boys, we're finally here, Season 2, and I hope you are all as hyped and excited as I am. But with that, we've got a beefy patch update with some of the craziest changes we've seen yet that will change this game as we know it. And I'm not just talking clickbait here. Introducing brand new ways to earn free rewards besides the battle pass, a major rework to ranked, the addition of private matches, and as we've seen from the trailer, a brand new map, specialization, gadgets, weapons, some of the craziest meta-shifting nerfs and buffs that will quite literally change the way we play this game. Also, to again not waste your time, I left timestamps in the video so you can skip to the section you're most interested in. So I hope you're ready for this, boys. If you found this video informative, please smash that like button. It's a small button for you, but makes a tremendous impact on this small channel. And subscribe for all things the finals. Now let's cut the bullshit and jump straight into it. So as we already know, they've added a brand new map called Horizon. It is an absolutely beautiful map, but I'm sure you guys already saw all the early access gameplay from it. We have our new game mode called Power Shift. This is a casual 2-team 5v5 game mode where you'll compete to escort a physical platform through the arena as it rips through anything in its path. With short respawn times and the ability to switch contestants on respawn, you'll be able to balance your team on the fly as you fight to control the platform and be the first to deliver it across the finish line. An all-new tutorial set in the streets of Monaco to let new players learn the ropes and provide testing grounds to try out gadgets, specializations, and weapons. So I think this is fantastic not only for new players but for veterans as well. It would be fantastic to try out new movement tech, how certain gadgets and objects interact with the physics of the game, for teams to practice routes and defense strategies for the cash box or just obtaining a vault. All around, great addition to the game. Introducing the 3 new weapons, the FAMAS, a burst assault rifle that will go to the medium build. The rifle retains most of its damage even at longer ranges, making it excellent for keeping enemies at bay. I'm going to call it right now, this will be the FCAR 2.0. The 93R, a burst fire handgun for the light class. It fires in 3-round bursts and is ideal for close to medium range engagements. And lastly, we have the KS-23 for the heavies. This is a stripped down slug round shotgun. It requires precision to handle effectively, but zooming in and predicting the enemy's movement will help. Thank God we now have a heavy weapon that requires a high skill curve. Oh yeah, and by the way guys, the heavy automatic shotgun still slaps, so if you don't feel like aiming, I would just say to use that. And now we have Dematerializer, a specialization that will be replacing Recon for the mediums. This specialization temporarily erases physical surfaces like walls and ceilings. It allows players to see, shoot, and pass through solid surfaces. You can create new passageways and close them back up again. Each action costs a charge, and Dematerializer can hold up to 3 charges at once. Now I've seen this in action, and Dematerializer works almost instantly. So they literally took away wall hacks and gave us literal wall hacks. I find that actually hilarious. On to the Light's new gadget. A pair of limited range deployable portals called Gateway. When both are thrown, contestants and objects can move between the 2 locations. Anyone can use the portal, but can't see or shoot through them. Thrown items and projectiles can also travel through the gateway, but not objectives like the cash out stations. I am definitely glad they didn't add the cash out stations, because that would lead to some toxic moments in the game, I promise you. The Anti-Gravity Cube, a deployable cube for the heavy build that manipulates gravity in its immediate area. When activated, it lifts contestants and objects up and can be used both as a traversal tool and an obstacle for enemy teams. Be mindful that destroying the cube will remove the reverse gravity zone. So thankfully this is like the jump pad. If you destroy it, the effects will go away. Because if it lasted for the entirety of its duration, this gadget would be almost impossible to counter. And lastly, we have Medium's brand new gadget, the Data Reshaper. This gadget for the medium build will transform deployed equipment from the other contestants into harmless arena props. And of course, up next we got the Battle Pass. I'm sure all of you can go on the page and check it out yourself and see what it has to offer. But next we have something pretty cool. Become a professional. The Battle Pass isn't the only way to earn free rewards. We're also introducing the new career circuit. Each week, a new set of contracts will unlock the career menu. These allow contestants cash in contracts and earn free rewards. At the end of each weekly set will be a sponsored prize. You'll be able to complete contracts at your own leisure, but you'll need to wait for each new circuit to unlock throughout the entire length of the season. The career circuit can increase your skill and coax you into trying a variety of new things throughout the season. Of course, filling in your weekly career page will get you a free gift every week, but it also counts towards your battle pass progress so players can grind for completion even late to the game. This is an absolutely amazing addition to the game, will improve player engagement, and I just want to give mad props to Embark for doing us all a solid. You guys are a rare gem in the industry that actually rewards the players for their time spent and invested in your game, rather than bleeding us dry with every chance you get. Next up, we have an overhaul to Ranked. The goal is to provide a much better quality experience when playing in ranked tournaments. You'll get your starting rank based on your first 8 rounds, and from there, you'll you'll move up and down based on your performance. As you may know, we need a lot of people and time to test a system like this, so you should expect more tweaks and changes throughout the season as we see it in action. Now moving on to private matches, I'm going to be honest, there's not much to say here. You can only play 2 modes now in private matches, which is Bank It or Quick Cash. However, this is a first step, and they're going to be adding more features and tweaks in the future. So let's move on to a brand new game show event called Retro Invasion 82, which is being added to every map. Now, let's get into the meat and potatoes. We've got balancing changes, and to address the first and most pressing issue in the game for debatably the entire season, which is nukes. They added diminishing returns on damage from nukes, i.e. throwable objects that carry C4, breach charges, or mines. For each source of explosive damage, including the throwable and starting with the highest, a damage modifier is applied for each instance in the sequence of 60%, then 40%, then 30% to 20%. Gas canisters now immediately start to steer off their trajectory, aka wobble, when they have attachments. When picking up throwable objects with explosive gadgets attached, i.e. nukes and snooks, said explosives will become unarmed. That's a really interesting change, so there's going to be a little bit of lag time when you throw it if you do decide to use nukes. When the player lets go of the carried object, a rearming timer for the explosive starts. This alone right here makes nukes almost completely unusable. But let's see what else they got in the chamber for us. The explosions from C4, breach charges, and all mines that detonate while unprimed now deal 20% of their original damage. Decrease the health value of propane tanks from 250 to 120. Fix the bug with fuel barrels, where they sometimes would ignite when taking damage. For example, explosions or bullets. Alright, so that pretty much explains why I felt like I was shooting a fucking tank when they were thrown at me. Here's some dev comments. Nukes were a hot button issue in Season 1. Yeah, I wonder fucking why. The previous tuning made nukes exceed the intended time to kill. Since our initial changes weren't substantial enough to alter this tactic, we've added more ways to balance nukes moving forward. I mean, I'm gonna be completely honest here. You guys did not balance them. You literally destroyed them. And you know what? I'm here for it. Moving on to toxic gas. Added a delay to the application damage. Damage will now start to tick at 0.5 seconds after the player enters the gas cloud. Added new functionality that causes damage to ramp up gradually over time from 30 HP a second to 60 HP a second over 2 seconds. Increased damage tick interval from 0.1 seconds to 0.3 seconds per tick. Here are some dev comments. We've always intended for toxic gas to act as an area denial tool. However, because of its immediate high damage and quick dispersal, it has been too potent. We've made changes to make toxic gas better to fit the original intention. I really don't think this is that bad of a nerf. It won't affect the way we use gas mines or gas grenades. Now lights will actually have a fighting chance when stepping into a gas grenade, besides, just insta-dying from like everything else in the game. Now, moving on to gadgets. Back to our favorite one, of course, the C4. Decrease ammo count from 2 to 1, decrease cooldown from 45 seconds to 30 seconds, decrease minimum damage at the edge of the explosion from 93 to 75. Yeah, that's the final nail in the coffin. Nukes are for sure finally dead. Now, moving on to the defib. Added a functionality that caused revived players to gradually rematerialize into the level over a period of 3 seconds before fully loading back into the arena. Increased charge up time from 0.6 seconds to 0.8 seconds. Increased the starting health from a defib revive from 40% to 50%. So I would consider this a little bit of a nerf and a rework at the same time. Rather than instantly rezzing your teammates, you're going to have to wait a couple of seconds for them to load back up into the game. So during that process, I'm assuming it's all hands-free. You don't have to worry about it. Once you defib them, they're going to start loading back up. The only problem with that is that if you do it out in the open, your teammate is basically a sitting duck. So this pretty much forces the teammate to take the statue into cover, then defib versus defibbing right in front of the enemy's face, which I thought wasn't fair in the first place. It's basically getting a free revive and a free chance at winning an engagement for risking absolutely nothing. So in my opinion, it's a great change for the overall health of the game. Good on the devs for that. Dome Shield. Decrease maximum duration from 20 seconds to 12 seconds. That is a massive nerf. Now we gotta be really smart about the time and the places that we decide to put down that Dome Shield. Jump Pad. Increase cooldown from 25 seconds to 30 seconds. Motion Sensor. Move from the light archetype to the heavy. That pretty much makes sense when you're using heavy, because you're going to be defending and holding down a position, and what better way? Hold down a position and putting a motion sensor, finding out where the enemy is coming from so you can position yourself properly to take the engagement. The RPG. Fix an issue that made dispersion almost identical regardless of what state the player was in. Increased projectile dispersion in all non-aiming states, reduced projectile dispersion when aiming down sights, increased zoom in time from 0.2 seconds to 0.4 seconds, increased equip time from 0.45 seconds to 0.5 seconds, increased unequipped time from 0.35 seconds to 0.4 seconds. Now, depending on how big that dispersion is, this could be a pretty big nerf, but we're just gonna have to wait and see how it plays out and how much that aim will vary. Sonar grenades are moved from the medium archetype to the light archetype. I think this is a fair change because lights were always meant to be a scout class, and what better way to scout than with the sonar grenade. The tracking dart will also be moving from the medium archetype to the light archetype. Decreased dispersion in most movement states by 50%, increased accuracy by decreasing dart dispersion while aiming down sights from 30% to 10%. Added force feedback for controllers. I have no idea what this is. If you're a controller main, please let me know down in the comments. Now, with the complete removal of Recon, and I'll get into that a little bit later, I think tracking darts will have more of a place in this game. Beforehand, we had Recon, so there wasn't really any need for tracking darts since you could just equip that as a specialization and you could fill the gadget slot with something else. But now that it's moved to light, you have a class that can get in and out of situations very fast, hit a target with a tracking dart, and then get out of there so your team can see exactly where the enemy team is. I definitely think we're going to see a lot more tracking dart usage in game. And depending on how far its range is, I think you're going to see a lot of lights paired with a sniper rifle. So light is getting a lot of love here with a buff to the vanishing bomb, increased grace period on teammates from 0.75 seconds to 1.25 seconds, increased total cloak duration on teammates from 6 seconds to 7.5 seconds, increased total cloak duration on users from 5 seconds to 6 seconds. Now on to specializations. Recon senses removed from the assessment. Dev notes: we've concluded that recon senses have been detrimental to the game at large and have decided to put it out of play for now. The specialization may return in some new form down the line, but only after a major rework. Now, this is my opinion here, so don't hate me for this, but I strongly think that wall hack should not be a part of any FPS shooter. It's just an unfair advantage, plain and simple. You are essentially getting rewarded for taking absolutely no risk with vital information. You have a little rework to the mesh shield. I wouldn't call it a nerf or a buff, with increased cooldown on a fully depleted shield from 12 to 15 seconds, increased starting health after full depletion from 200 to 250 seconds. Now, onto the weapons. AKM. Decreased damage fall off minimum range from 35 meters to 30 meters. Decreased damage fall off max range from 40 meters to 37.5 meters. Decreased damage fall off modifier at max range from 67% to 55%. Yikes. This definitely sounds like a nerf to me. Moving forward, FCAR, decreased damage fall off modifier at max range from 67% to 55%, which is fair. I mean, you could beam someone literally from the other side of the map with that gun. The Lewis gun, updated weapon recoil pattern to be slightly less accurate over time during sustained fire. I really hope this doesn't change it into the M60. Regardless, I'm going to be using the Lewis gun because of the iron sights, but if there's any pay to win skins for the M60, I just might consider hopping onto that gun. And if you didn't already think the M11 was shredding, it has increased accuracy by decreasing bullet dispersion when firing from the hip. It's going to shred, plain and simple. The M60, updated weapon recoil pattern to be slightly more accurate over time during sustained fire. Increased accuracy by decreasing bullet dispersion while moving when firing from the hip. Increased accuracy by decreasing bullet dispersion while moving when firing while aiming down sights. Decreased accuracy slightly by increasing bullet dispersion while standing still when firing while aiming down sights. Depending on how good that recoil pattern is and depending on whether or not I feel like I have Parkinson's while shooting that gun, I think this just may be enough to make me use this instead of the Lewis gun. The R.357, aka the medium shotgun. Increased damage fall off modifier at max range from 33% to 45%. Throwing knives, increased projectile speed from 120 meters per second to 138 meters per second. I'm going to say it right now, throwing knives will be a top pick from this because all it needed was a faster projectile speed and they would be nasty. And that's what we have here. And lastly, the XP54, decreased accuracy by increasing bullet dispersion when firing from the hip in most movement states. That sure as hell is a good thing because I aim down sights most of the time anyways to shoot that weapon. And the only time I literally use hip fire on it is when I'm so close to the opponent I'm literally dry humping them. Great changes overall, no nerfs or buffs that are too intense that'll make the weapon unusable, but most of these seem like pretty balanced changes. The only three outliers I see is the M11, the M60, and the throwing knives. I think two of those three just may enter the meta, and to be honest, M11's already one of those two. They added new levels with rewards to weapons, gadgets, and specializations. I'm not going to waste your time and say all of these. It's pretty much every weapon and every gadget, and as for the specialization, it's just the goo gun, healing beam, and guardian tier. Gameplay. Added an option for auto sprint in gameplay section and settings. Now this is a great change for quality of life. Added an option for auto sprint in the gameplay section and settings. You can turn on auto sprint in the settings menu and select the time it takes for your contestant to begin sprinting. The finals has a unique omnidirectional system, which means characters can sprint in all directions instead of the more common forward only sprint. As such, we'd love to get your feedback on auto sprint and what additional changes would help you better customize your sprinting experience. Now, a fair warning to you guys, when you're hip firing and you're strafing from left to right, if you sprint while hip firing, your bullet dispersion will be off the charts. You'll be incredibly inaccurate and miss the majority of your shots. So just keep that in mind when you turn on auto sprint. The preview art for grenades now shows where they will detonate in their trajectory. This is great for glitch grenades, and getting them to deactivate your opponent's gadget is going to be easier than it's ever been. Improved an issue where controller players would unintentionally drop carried objects when trying to interact. Now carried objects won't be dropped when pressing the interact and equip weapon button if the weapon is already equipped. Now on to bug fixes. I'm going to keep this short and brief and mention only the things that are important that will affect you directly in game to not waste your time. They fixed an issue where the scoreboard wouldn't show the potential score for transfers in progress. Fixed an issue where the flamethrower kills would sometimes be attributed to self-elimination due to the flamethrower user being eliminated. Fix an issue where dome and mesh shields would not block projectiles or explosions properly. Oh yeah, this one pissed me off. Fix an issue that allowed players to steal objects through floors and walls. You don't know how many times my team lost points because we couldn't see the guy that was stealing our cash out, and it turns out he was either behind the wall or on the floor underneath. It tilted the ever-living shit out of me because we could do absolutely nothing to stop that steal. Fix an issue where explosive objects attached to another object would fall off if the primary object was destroyed. The explosive object attached will now also take the appropriate damage in this situation. That would be amazing if it was applied last season when nukes were relevant. Fix a bug where the mesh shield regen would fail to start correctly. Now, onto game modes. Improved spawn selection around active objectives. So hopefully this will solve the spawn trapping issue. Fix for case where two squads spawning at the same frame could use the same spawn point. Some important audio updates here. Added voice lines for reloading, improved footstep audio for players using pistols, and added sounds for squad mate down and last player standing. All great sound cues for more team coordination. And that's about it for everything important in this patch. Let me know what you guys think about all the weapon, gadgets, and specialization changes. I really look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. But anyhow, please like if you found this video informative. It's a small like for you, but again, makes a tremendous impact on my small channel. Don't forget to subscribe for all things the finals. And what are you guys still doing here? Get your ass in the arena. I'll see you next time. Peace.